Good morning, students. This is Professor Joshua Escobar, and I'm here to deliver this week's mini lecture on the short story that we're reading together, Dharma by Vikram Chandra. All right, and we're back. So this is gonna just go over the story that we're reading together, Dharma, which is a story about a major general who sees a ghost. This story takes place in the 21st century Bombay, India, a city whose name has recently changed to Mumbai. The narrator for this story is Subramaniam, a retired civil servant. There's another narrator who introduces us to Subramaniam, and this narrator is unnamed. While he seems to be tech-savvy, kind of a millennial, whose assertiveness clashes with Subramaniam's pace and careful attention. This technique of having a story within a story is often called a layered or nested narrative. This technique of having a story within a story is common in ancient forms of storytelling, such as epics, and it's thought to add believability and heighten the pleasure of a story because you're going through different layers. And in the climax, like you climax, or at the end, you go through all the layers again after having emerged through the different layers. This technique allows the narrator to portray the world at large by exploring a very small sample of it. In Love and Longing in Bombay, we'll see this technique framing each and every story. I think Chandra uses this technique to tell the story of modern-day Bombay, a city that is haunted by a colonial legacy and corruption, whose streets are surging with multinational development, and whose people deal with beauty and pain with great care and ingenuity, and whose ties to one another, however digitized, remain sacred. In Dharma, the Major General, Jago Anita, seeks to mend the pain he feels in his missing leg. This phantom pain continues even after he relieves himself from military service and settles down in a two-big house that has stayed in his family for years and years. I like that it opens up this collection because this story shows how fiction makes readers spellbound. We see that in the way that Subramaniam weaves a suspenseful and richly textured ghost story. Ghost stories are classic, and Dharma explores how we are haunted by our past. And it's kind of marvelous because in the background is this cityscape that's like very futuristic and fast-paced. And we get to slow down and enjoy this ghost story. I also like that this story opens up our class, English 271F, Creative Writing Fiction. It's a story about phantom pain and the desire to mend it. Pain is a very human thing. It's deeper than the human or humanity, some of you want to say. I think that pain or addressing phantom pain is what makes fiction real. When thinking about the public and private life, the philosopher Hannah Arendt writes, "Indeed, the most intense feeling we know, intense to the point of blotting out all other experiences, namely the experience of great bodily pain, is at the same time the most private and least communicable of all. Not only is it perhaps the only experience which we are unable to transform its shape fit for public appearance, it actually deprives us of our feeling of reality to such an extent that we can forget it and more quickly and easily than anything else. There seems to be no bridge from the most radical subjectivity in which I am no longer recognizable to the outer world of life. Pain, in other words, truly a borderline experience between life and being among men and death. Life as being among men and death. is so subjective and removed from the world of things and men, it cannot assume an appearance at all. So, and that's Hannah Arendt writing in The Human Condition, which I have over there. So as people, we can't easily talk about our pain or even deal with our pain. In some sense, pain is something we all share. We write fiction and we read fiction to substantiate and defy our existence. Fiction is a phantom reality, of our lived world, our lived experiences, and our shared inner lives that are carefully, what's the word? Intertwined or made up of pain and beauty, which is something that I think we all should do in our stories. All right, so that's the lecture for this week. Feel free to message me if you have any questions. I hope you enjoy this really cool school story.